So we're rolling. So
Okay, so what are we talking about?
this, what are we talking about?
This is how this
You called
always
this
goes.
meeting, so spill it. Your
Okay,
dime. Your
so
dime.
here's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
I was at an event where I was listening to this guy talk, and it really resonated with me on two fronts. One, what we are trying to do and our messaging with Life Forward. And then two, how he was bringing out what these words are and how it portrays.
Okay.
So the two topics of dichotomy he brought up is one, fame versus greatness,
Fame versus greatness.
humble versus arrogance.
Humble versus arrogance. Got it.
What's the difference between the two and why is it important?
Well, what's the difference between the two? There was 4 mentioned there. So you tell me, first of all, define for me what greatness means, because that's such a general term.
So see, to me, and I'll tell you what he said later, but to me what greatness means is honestly not about what you've accomplished. It's what you've given back to accomplish.
I like that. I'm glad to hear it, because what I heard several years ago, in a different context, the way to get ahead in business, that's the way, is provide value. To me, true greatness is what value are you providing to the world?
100%. Yeah.
The verse says, now let's tie this into the fame conversation, and where does the difference come in?
Well, see, fame to me is how do you portray yourself outwardly, right? It is looking for that recognition of greatness without actually doing anything great.
Okay, so can I? Okay,
Yeah, please.
I think for me, to go very general and broad, fame is the perception of you.
100%.
Greatness can lead to fame. It often does lead to fame. In fact, true greatness usually leads to fame, I think, in our culture here, at least the greatness we know about. But fame doesn't necessarily at all have anything to do, back up the other way. You can have fame and be not great at anything. You could be a Kardashian. You could be a Jake or Logan Paul.
Right.
No,
I get it. But here's the other piece of it is there are quite a number of individuals, not just in the US, but across the world, I would call is the definition of greatness that has zero name recognition or fame attached to it. Because to me, being somebody of that caliber doesn't do it for fame. They do it because they're trying to give back.
And I like that. It's just my problem is I don't know much about that because you don't hear about those places.
Exactly, yeah. It's the unsung heroes.
I think, though, that the takeaway here for me in its most succinct form is people should set out, maybe not attain greatness, but that should be the goal, is greatness but not fame.
Correct.
The fame, the notoriety, the public perception, such as it may be, that will take care of itself, but that should never be somebody's aim.
Yeah.
I think in social media culture that we live in now, there's so many people that are looking for the recognition.
That they forget.
They don't want the substance behind it. There's no attempt to get the value that you're trying to provide to the world behind
They're
it.
going for the clickbait.
Yeah, and look, as humans, we all, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of us are fueled by attention. I'm guilty of that. I'll be free to admit. Well, no, what I mean by that is, look, you know, in my health situation, that almost anybody that knows me at all knows my health situation. look, the fact that I've shared that, that's not why I've shared it, because it truly is. I can sincerely say it's about what value I can bring to other people, what people can learn from my situation. But I'll also, on the other hand, say, look, I'm human. Having a cheering section, it feels good. It helps me. It encourages me, and that's normal. But that's not.
But that's not why though. You're
Right.
not out there trying to get attention for your donuts. You're getting it because you're giving something back that others are drawn to you to give you back simple. There's a big difference between them.
For sure, and I think that's the key to what it is we're talking about here.
Exactly.
Is having your priorities straight, not making the attention, fame, to use a larger term there, not use the attention as the purpose. That is a side benefit.
So let me flip the words for a second.
Okay.
What you're talking about right now is that attention piece. I would honestly turn around and say it's the humble piece.
Okay. So we're tying that into the humble versus arrogance.
Correct. Because in all sincerity, you're very humble about what you're going through and how it's impacting you, that it is very easy to support you.
Thank you.
If you were arrogant about it and demanding about it, I don't think you and I would be sitting here having the conversation, because I'm the type of person that would have told you to go to hell.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I think that without getting into some past life experiences or dwelling too much on it, I realized very, very quickly that after I received my diagnosis, that I had been given a platform, so to speak. I could live my life a certain way, set an example, live up to that example that I'm trying to set. It holds me to a standard. That's one of the reasons I do what I do, because it holds me to a standard. Without getting into that's a whole nother conversation for another day, but what my methodology or what the method is to my madness on all of that type of thing. But I did realize very quickly that I have, through adversity, I have a value that I can provide to the world, and that's a satisfying thing.
See, I'll bring this back to a conversation I had, right? Because I get in a situation we've had recently, I have been told by many people, well, that individual had a really bad childhood and blah, 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 making excuses for their behavior. And my response was, we all have a story, but we're the only ones who can control our behavior and what comes out of our mouth. And if you don't know how to be humble about your experience and know how to go about using that as a platform, then you know what? You probably should keep your mouth shut.
Well, I like what you just said there, and I'll tie it back into part of what drives me is, without naming names, I've had people very close to me who've received cancer diagnosis. I feel like I'm using my cancer diagnosis in a certain way. I've tried to use it in a way that provides value to other people, like we've been talking about here. But part of that has been driven by the people who I have known who have also received cancer and bad diagnoses, who used it as well, but they used it to suck value
100%
out of others for themselves.
And you know what? And I think that's one of the reasons that drew me to you is him. And seeing how he handled
We're talking about Spencer, by the way. Your
my
awesome
husband. Sorry. Seeing how he handled his diagnosis and the myriad of health issues he's had was very similar to how you were talking about it. And
Spencer's just off camera over here.
yeah, I know. And that honestly was an instant connection for me with you that brought out a friendship while we're sitting here talking.
Thank you.
I think if you were, like I said, if you're arrogant about it with the whole, I have cancer, you have to be nice to me, I mean, no joke. You know me well enough to know that would not be happening.
Get the big old F you from you.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. that is exactly what you would get. But it's the fact that, let's be honest, right? Every single one of us has a story. If you've had a perfect life from birth to now, I want to know how they did it.
We all have our crosses that we have
Yeah.
been forced to bear, we are bearing, we will bear.
And it's up to us to figure out, are we going to be arrogant about it? Are we going to go out there and try to get the woe me same about it? In your words, be a Kardashian about it? Or are we going to be quietly doing what we can to give back?
In my case, not necessarily always so quietly, but yeah.
You know what? I would still say you're doing it quietly. While you and I are both using this as a platform, we're not out there going, look at us, we're doing these great things. That has never been us. And if that was us, I don't think we would have this platform either.
Certainly would hope that's never the perception. If it is, I
Right.
would definitely want to change that.
That's the perception. Let us know.
All right. Awesome conversation again, as usual.
As always.
Thanks, guys.